And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Chess is one of the world's most popular games, arguably the most famous game in the world, and it's only natural that we're going to see lots of different variants for chess. I've played many of them. Some of them I like, some of them I don't. And the newest one I've played is Shuuro, which is basically a chess game which has tons of extra pieces and allows you to basically choose your pieces that you use during the course of the game using a point system. It also has these blocks which you put on the board, which will change the board from just being a normal chessboard into something with more pitfalls. Also, the chessboard is larger. So I guess there's several changes to the original game, but basic gameplay is the same. Let's take a closer look at the board. This isn't actually the board. This is a blown-up version of the sheet that you use to build your armies. When you build an army, you have 800 points total, and then you look at the sheet here to see what pieces you can use. And you can see the game comes with quite a few pieces. They're blue and red, which is deliberate because there are dice included to determine who goes first, rather than the traditional white goes before black. The pieces are good quality with felt on the bottom. I like, but they're the typical traditional chess pieces. But as you see here, on the sheet of paper, it tells you how many of each piece you can have, and then the point value of that piece. So, for example, each side must have one king, but you can have between 0 and 3 queens. They each cost a whopping 110 points. Rooks cost 70 points, and you can have up to 6 rooks. You can have up to 9 bishops or knights. They both cost 40 points. And then you can have up to 18 pawns, which cost 10 points. So before the match starts, each player will sit around and they will use these pieces, use this chart, and decide what their army is going to be. Here's the board. And on the board, we can see, first of all, you notice that this is not your typical 64 space board. This is actually 12 by 12 for 144 spaces, but the board is split up into 4 quadrants, and you can tell those quadrants because the game is folded into them. And at the beginning of each game, you're going to roll 2 dice and use one of those dice for the column and the other one for the row of each quadrant. So for example, this is 2 and 6, and I will place a pillar there. The pillar is a 3-dimensional plastic block, and basically that's just a spot that pretty much no piece can go into. And then I'll roll again, and here's a 6-6, so that piece will go there. Then I go over to the next quadrant, and I roll the dice, and you will continue to do this and until there are different pillars set all over the board. Once these pillars are set up on the board, then each player is going to take turns deploying their armies, starting with their king, and the king has to go in the back row, and they will basically fill in their back row until the back row is full. Then they can start placing pieces in the second row. And so that is what players will do for deployment purposes, and at that point the game will then start. Now, the game works basically exactly like regular chess with just a few differences. First of all, if you for some reason set your king up so that he's in check at the beginning of the game, you lose. So I don't know why that rules in the game, but just don't do it. But secondly, you have to realize a few things. First of all, bishops become immensely more powerful on this board, and I'm still not completely sure that they should be the same point value as a knight, because on this board, they can really slide around. On 144 spaces, a bishop almost seems as powerful as a rook. A rook is still able to reach every spot on the board, and a bishop can only reach half of those, but still, bishops have a much wider range. No piece can go through these pillars, though, so that hampers both those pieces' ability, although the knights can. A knight can land on top of a pillar, and no one else can touch him except for another knight. And even though knights' usefulness is much more limited in this regard, they are still pretty powerful because of the larger board. A knight just doesn't seem to have the same punch that it does in a smaller board, but because of these pillars, it does bring knights back into a tighter focus. And it's really neat to have more than one queen on the board. And the queens are really powerful. Now, if you don't want to play this, you could play chess on a normal size chessboard, which is included. Or you can play basically a short version, which you fold the board into 4, and then you play here, and you have a smaller point count, and that's a really fast game. It's really quick, and so that's basically how you play the game. First person to put the opponent's king in a checkmate is the winner. What are my thoughts on this game? Well, for one thing, as much as I like chess, I've never been a big fan of regular chess because the person who is better will invariably win, and you have to find opponents who are on the same level of strategy as yourself, or else you're going to either soundly destroy them or soundly get destroyed by them. So variants are always something that's a big deal to me. I do like the fact that the pieces aren't changed, and so you're able to use them. Adding these pillars is a nice idea. Stops the board. It's random in how they're set up, and it gives knights a much more functionality. However, in one game, I decided I was going to take all 9 knights and use them and only a few bishops and rooks to back them up, and I found myself getting just destroyed because I could not control the whole battlefield. I could control a small section of it, but not the whole battlefield. I don't know if chess purists are going to like it. Maybe, because it ruins their notion. But I'll tell you one thing I do like about this a lot. And it's the fact that it's a very good variant, and I can play it. I can use the 1/4 of the board as the short variant, but I can play regular chess. So this is my chess set. I don't need any other chess sets. This is the one that I have. And they're going to be coming out with another variant that allows 4-player chess using these same rules, and I'm interested to see how that will work out in the future. But even for now, with 2 players, this is a good version. It seems a little faster than most chess games, 30, 45 minutes to a game. And if you're looking for maybe some spice, something different for chess, then this is what you should check out.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.